Hello, hello. Let's get everybody going. Get everybody in here. We're setting a. We're finna get started in just a second. Cool. What kind of color do I want to go with tonight? Let's see. Check the color out. Go with the green. Match the whole green. Let's go with the green. Hello, hello, everybody out there. Thank you for joining. Super Tuesdays tonight, live on YouTube. I am Rashid, and this is the Ages and Stages podcast. Let me know if you all can hear me. I've got my comments up. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Thumbs up, please, if you can hear me. Hello, Rashid, and the chat. What's up? Hello, hello. Can y'all hear? Let me know if you can hear me. Yes, can hear you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Is it clear? Sounds good? Reduce the echo? All that good stuff? Yes. It's good. Okay, perfect. All right, well, let's get started, y'all. Let's get it. Welcome back to the platform, Ages and Stages, the podcast. I'm your host, Rashid, and this is Super Tuesdays. I'm trying to do this every single Tuesday. 90% of the time, it's going to be alive. So it's going to be very interactive because I want interaction from you guys to start a conversation. And that's what this podcast was originated for when I started it, to spark a conversation about the ages and stages of life. A lot of it, love, relationships, but everything in between, and a lot of things that we go through at different ages and stages of life. And sometimes we're not always on that same page along this roller coaster and sometimes hamster wheel we call life. But thank you again so much for joining. I plan to be back full time. I've got some cool things coming up, and I'm going to get that started now, just kind of tell you what's all going on. And before we bring my guest in for the night, and we'll catch you up on if you've missed anything. I've been doing the last 3 lives have been on the Ages and Stages IG channel, but I think I'm going to just translate and do everything from the YouTube channel because this is where the bulk of the family of Ages and Stages is. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Go ahead and like. If you turn those subscribe buttons off, turn them things back on because we're back. Thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. And again, I want to have some cool conversations, and I'm gonna have some cool people on. So if you have some topic ideas, please email me at agesandstagespc@gmail.com. agesandstagespc@gmail.com. Also, if you want to sponsor an episode, you can do the same at agesandstagespc.com. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna catch you up on some things, and we're gonna bring our guest in, Blake. But again, this is Ages and Stages Super Tuesdays live. All right, so I want to talk about our sponsors first. Our first sponsor for the night is sallysboy.com. Sally's Boy is an up-and-coming Black-owned, all-natural herbal soap company started by one of my great friends, actually, a teammate of mine from college. His mother passed away prematurely at a very young age, and her name was Sally, and he's the only child just like myself. He's got a great, interesting story, and he's been very into holistic health and taking care of himself and doing all those type of things to try for we can stay healthy and live a longer life. So Sally's Boy is one of the sponsors tonight. I got some great stuff out there. It's for men and women. These are one of my favorites. So this one is the Benjamin's Fresh and Clean Lotion right here. Where's the camera? Benjamin's Fresh and Clean Lotion, right? It's a nice packaging and all this kind of stuff. You can go to sallysboy.com for this. All right, this is the Fresh and Clean Lotion. Smells great. No artificial fillers and flavors and stuff like that. The next one is the Fresh and Clean Soap Bar. This is a all body wash. Benjamin's Fresh and Clean Soap Bar from Sally's Boy. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is a shave bar. I have the Black Honey Shave Bar. I use it for my head. Ladies, you can use for your legs. It's got a natural type of scrub in it, like exfoliant for that. So Sally's Boy, it's dope stuff. Y'all get on right now and order from Sally's Boy. I think the coupon code is Rashid or just the Car God. The Car God. If you have any issues with that, email me and we'll get you straight. All right. Perfect. Next sponsor for tonight is Upsurge Brands on Instagram. Upsurge Brands sent me this super dope organic pillow, right? It helps to prevent snoring. You sleep on it. It's crazy. Like, I love this pillow. I sleep better at night with this. See the ergonomics of this, and you can put it behind your back if you work from home, all that kind of stuff. Upsurge Brands on IG. Again, Car God is the code. They'll ship this to you. You can sleep with this. It's memory foam. It breathes. It's nice. It doesn't get, you don't get overheated. None of that good stuff. So we're gonna use this tonight and put it right behind my back because my back's a little tight. Because I had a long Mother's Day. So I don't know about y'all, Mom, but my mother don't like to go nowhere. She don't want money. Well, she always wants money, but she don't want to go to dinner. She don't want to go shopping. She want none of that. She wants sweat equity from me. So for Mother's Day, I power washed her driveway, power washed the sidewalk. She wanted me to put up a new mailbox, had to paint the old mailbox wood, paint that, and redo the whole new mailbox. So my back, needless to say, is a little tight. So we're going to use the Upsurge Urbanomic, if I can say that, memory foam pillow for that. So y'all tap into them, tell them the Car God sent you. All right. So last thing before we get into our guest tonight, I want to catch you up on some of the previous topics that we've had on the Ages and Stages Super Tuesdays on IG Live. And feel free to make comments because I love to hear your perspective, and we'll bring these back, okay? There go B Fleazy right there. Yo, my mom's in the chat. I just told a story about all the work I did for Mother's Day. That's my mom, y'all. B Fleazy. Short for Betty Floyd. Y'all say what up to moms. I don't know if she wanted to stay discreet or not, but she on blast now. So anyway, so a couple of the previous segments was chasing versus courting. Ooh, that's always an interesting. So I remember on the show, if y'all remember my show, I talked about chasing versus courting. And I said, I will court you all day long. But when it turns into chasing, then I'm going to tap out, because if I'm chasing, that means you're running away, and those things aren't conducive for a relationship. Wouldn't you agree? So I talked about a story. I won't go into all of it because I want to get to our guest, about me dating this woman, and I kind of lost sight of courting versus chasing. Next thing I know, it's 7 months later. I barely get a kiss, and I did all these super dates and stargazing and and all kind of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I went against my own rules. And then eventually, to her credit, no downing her, she said that she thought I was a great person, blah blah blah. But it just didn't see anything romantically. And I agreed, and I knew it. But sometimes you try to get in front of somebody. I need 5 more minutes. I'm gonna just sell you. I'm gonna sell you on what a great person I am. And sometimes men and women do that. And then our guests can talk about some of these things because some of this stuff is going to relate. That's why I'm bringing some of this stuff up. So you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You can't change them if they're not a mutual interest, not pulling in the same direction. What are we doing? Now, obviously, men, we have to be the hunters. We have to sell ourselves to a certain extent. And women, you have to do the same for us to continue to court you. But it's not like you're selling to a consumer who you're trying to convince to purchase your product, right? It's a big difference. So anyway, that was one of them, courting versus chasing. The other one, this got a lot of people sparked up. Why are black women mad at Shannon Sharpe? Ooh, man, y'all was in my DMs on this. I had a friend of mine get mad at me, a female friend just get mad, like talking this, that, and the third. I'm like, listen, it's just a conversation. You don't even know where my perspective is coming from. And more so, my perspective was coming from why focus, because many black women was focused on this black man and why was he dealing with this young white woman. For me, it's like, why are you dealing with a 19-year-old? I don't care what color she is, and she's on whatever the platform, what's it called? Y'all know the freaky deaky. What's it called? See, it tell you how much I frequent that place. What What is y'all tell me, please, in the chat? What is it? OnlyFans, right? So why are you messing with her? And then if we want to make a black versus white thing, successful black men get like, and I showed some statistics. 79% of black men, successful black men, marry black women. So let's focus on the 79% and not the other percentage, the 21%. Like, come on, it's not that big of a deal. So that was the other part of the discussion. And then the last one we had last Tuesday was, our men's group chats toxic? I got a lot of buzz and feedback from that one as well. And I said some of them can be, but for the most part, they are great for men, for us to have a sounding board, for us to talk and share our thoughts and feelings amongst men who can identify and share those thoughts with us. If there's are some that are toxic, they may be a little bit filled with toxic masculinity, and those may sometimes deal with your psyche and your personal growth as well as your mental health. Because I also talked about it can be a lot of male bravado and a lot of braggadocious and a lot of beating the chest. And if you're not mentally in that space where that harms you, then you need to have the discernment to be able to come in and out of some of those chats. But I said for the most part, men's group chats are definitely needed and worth men to have. And I also said, Lord knows, who knows what goes on in the women group chats. I would love to get some insight on what happens in women group chats, but I don't know if y'all are going to give me that. So anyway, I didn't go into too much detail on that because I can't break the bro code either. But those are the last three topics that you may have missed. You can go back and check those on the IG Live. But now going forward, we're going to be on YouTube. All right. And last but not least, I want to say this to my men. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want to tell you this. I started mostly all of these shows. I want to tell my men out there, you are worthy. You're a hard worker. You deserve everything that you have coming to you. Be diligent, be steadfast in your belief systems, be honest with yourself, but know that you're still him, that you're of value no matter what the world says or anyone says. I don't care if it's a loved one, a woman, a man, family, mother, father, or what your uncle didn't do or what he did do. I don't want to hear any of that. Don't let your heredity define your destiny. And men, I support you out there. I hear you. And this is a space where you're going to be heard and you're going to be championed and you're going to have the pat on the back that you need. Also understand that you're not perfect and stop trying to live in that perfect space because you're lying to yourself and you're lying to others. And that's where you get in trouble. But stand on business, stand on how hard you work, stand on what a great father you are, what a great leader you are, a great provider, and understand that you're not perfect. But at the same time, understand that you are valued, you are needed, and you're still him. And I love you, brothers. All right. Now, let's get into it, man. Let's bring in my guests. Enough is enough of that. All of the pleasantries. Thank you guys so much for joining. Once again, this is Ages and Stages, Super Tuesdays, and I'm going to go ahead and just bring in my guy, Mr. Blake, Jamil R. Blake from, if you don't know, this is from one of my alumni from Ready to Love. Blake, what season were you on?
Miami. I think
Miami.
Maybe 9.
Right. It time flies, right? You almost forget.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, welcome, Blake, to the show, Blake, to the podcast. I got to get my, if y'all remember from the past, I love my my little hold on, my little stuff here, but I forgot. It's been a mile. I'm rusty. Where my hand claps at? Damn. All right, I'll get them next time, Blake. My bad. I don't got the hand claps ready for you, my dog.
It's all good. It's all good. No worries.
But anyway, man, welcome, to the show. Welcome. I appreciate you. How's life been, man? Let's catch up real quick.
Man, everything is great. No complaints. Back full time here in Houston. I left Miami about a year and a half ago, so I'm back.
Right. So you're back in the H full time?
Permanently. As permanent as I am. I've been sitting still for a minute, which I move around a little bit. But man, it's been great. The weather's been great. I miss Florida a little bit, but there's nothing like Houston, right? So I've lived everywhere. New York, Atlanta, DC, LA, Miami. But I always make it back to Houston, so it's all love, and I get to be with some really good people here. We got a pretty big family here. Everybody in Houston is family, right? So everybody's connected somehow. So I just love that about the city. So I can't complain, man. Everything's been great.
100%, man. 100%. So again, man, me and you have kept in touch over the years since I had you on before in the interview after Ready to Love.
Right.
And you've kept we've kept touch, and you checked on me when I went through what I went through, and again, the ages and stages of life, man. I appreciate you for that. You're a true brother for checking in, and also sharing good words of encouragement, man. So I appreciate that. So I mean, I always said I'm always going to have dope people on here that I think people need to hear from, and have got some great things going on. And when I talk about, before I brought you on, I talk about Still Him, and that's kind of a new mantra that I go by, that I want to pour into men, kind of the Still Him movement, to be honest with you. And this is for men like you and I, like-minded men. I'm not talking about deadbeat men or trying to, get over on people and do all this kind of other stuff and living a crazy, crazy life. I'm talking about great fathers, educated men, disciplined men, leaders, the whole 9 yards. But at the same time, understanding and acknowledging that we're not perfect, and we're going to make mistakes. We have shortcomings and pitfalls, but most of our guys are like that. It's 20%, not 80% of them. And no matter what society says and how they may beat you up, blah, 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 you're still him. So, and that's kind of the things I want men to understand, because sometimes, we get told to just kind of, get over it, shut up, do some push-ups, and you'll be all right, and get over it. And, men have feelings too. And we dealing with mental health often, and this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So just kind of want to speak to that. But with that being said, brother, speak to, and we'll get in the book in a second, but speak to life as you know it after Ready to Love, and what you've been doing. And I know the ladies want to know if you're single, or if you're with someone right now, or just kind of just chilling and focusing on this new endeavor that we're about to talk about.
Okay. All right. So before I move on, I want to kind of touch on what you just mentioned, right? And you gotta realize that, the world only sees the positives. They only see the efforts after the hard work, right? They see the rewards, right? But it's the failures that actually build you, right? Because you don't know something doesn't work until you failed at it, right? And that's how you know to do it, better the next time around. So I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves as men to look at situations as failures, right? It used to be we could take one step back to take 2 steps forward. I think where we are now, taking 1 step back, everybody thinks, the world is over. And
especially if they see it on social media.
Oh yeah,
step means 1,000 steps when it's really only just 1 step.
Definitely. And it's really not that deep. And, you got to attribute that to, just kind of the new place and the new space that we're in, where people just like drama. They rather see you do bad than do well, right? You can say positive things all day and you'll get a great following, but you go ahead and say you're about to commit suicide online, and you got millions of people, logging in.
Yeah, for sure.
So just for the men, like really just keeping that balance and understanding that, like you said, you're going to be the same person that you were, whether you win or lose, right? You still got to get up, you still got to make it happen, you still got to push forward. So I just wanted to kind of lean in on that.
Right. And you have a son, right? You have one son?
I have
2 boys. That's what I thought.
I got 3 boys, 25, 17, and 12. So I got a man.
Yeah. And 12, the same age as my baby. 12. Yeah. I'm one and done, man.
Yeah. That's what I thought the first one.
Yeah.
but yeah. So they were a big, motivating factor in my life, or, kind of how I live my life, and live into a certain set of standards and morals that I would want them to live by. So with that said, everything that I've done and everything that I try and do, I try and have some way of giving back, being selfless, right? A lot of my life is selfless, being prior military, working for the city, having a nonprofit. I really believe in reaching back and really inspiring the next generation, and having the open dialogue and difficult conversations. As you know, last time I was on your show, we had a couple of those conversations that got real interesting. I enjoy the conversations, but I try and keep it respectful. So there's that. My regular world, I guess many people don't know too much about my regular world, right? But in my regular world, I actually own a mental health and home healthcare company. So mental health, everything from psychologists to counselors, and then home health, everything to skilled and unskilled services. So that's my everyday regular life. But when I'm not living that life, I'm in this other life where I'm really just promoting the unity amongst men and trying to move men forward and trying to have the difficult conversations and making sure that, if I see someone who needs that pat on the back, that I'm there to give it to them, not just for the negative, but also for the positive. Right. So, that's a lot of what inspired me to go into the book. Right. Originally, it was a manifesto that I did for my boys. Right. All of the things I wanted to instill in them because, you're a full-time father, but you get part-time benefits and visitation. Right. So a lot of times as a dad, or the other parent, I won't make it about a dad.
Yeah. It can be difficult though. Either way, it can definitely be difficult for sure because they're not waking up under that same roof every day. Like,
so it's
I pride myself about being there, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, and it's when you do have them, I know for me, I'll speak to me. When I had my boys over the years, I've had, 3 times to practice and get it right. Right. You have those times where you want to chastise them for the things that they're not doing, but then you have to balance that with the positive times that you want to have, because you're with them. Right. So for me, I wrote the manifesto, and it's a code book of all of the things that I want them to know at the early stages of life, pretty much all the way up to about 30, 35. Right. And it talks about personal growth, finances, women, and success. Right. And then there's a code there's like 10 codes per chapter, 5 chapters.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, we talk about and we would like to discuss. And those are the things that I want to push forward. And I let a couple of friends read the manifesto, and they were like, bro, you got to turn this into a book. So that's what I did. I turned it into a book. It's been out for about a little over 3 weeks. We're an Amazon bestseller. It got way more support than I thought it was going to get. So I'm definitely appreciative for that. I want to thank everybody for supporting and buying.
Tell people the name of the book.
So the name of the book is called The Man vs. the Gentleman. It's under the G Code series, but the book is called The Man vs. the Gentleman. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it off my Instagram page. So I have a link for my IG page as well. And my Instagram is champ_Fenimore, CHAMP_FENIMORE.
Dope. Okay. So you said some cool things I want to talk about before we go deeper into the codes and the 5 chapters in the book. And I love that manifesto. So what I've been doing a lot, something similar, like some of the stuff that I pour into my son, I'm saving it like in my notes.
Right.
So we can go back through those things, or when he's older and really can understand and really has gone through dealing with life. Like you said, this talks about just manhood, leadership, dealing with women, dealing with, in tough situations. Because my 12-year-old trying to teach him, okay, leadership
right
doesn't always have to be vocal. Leadership can be removing yourself from an environment where you see it's about to go left and you're around your friends. And now, they're 12. Now they're getting a little social. They want to hang out. They want to go here and the third. And then, so now that's one of the things that we, that I have that I'm talking to him about, excuse me. But so you said one of those things. So when it talks about, let's go right into it.
Sure.
Dealing with women. Let's talk about some of the attributes that you're teaching your sons or young men or men that will be reading the book. What is the codes that you're talking about with women as it pertains to that?
So I'm going to pull a code directly from the book, right? I have a code about women. Let me see, page 57. So code 301 is women should be the honey, not the bee.
Oh, right. Stop right there. Oh, whoa. I like that. Women should be the honey, not the bee. So is that something like, I'm the prize? Or no. It sounds like you got a probably different spin on that. I want to hear this.
So it goes along a little bit with what you were saying about the, about the chasing part, right? There's a little bit of that in there, but essentially, the woman should be easygoing, right? She should be the best version of herself. Being the best version of herself will make the man want to be around, right? The woman does not have to chase the man. She shouldn't have to go through a lot to get him. She shouldn't have to be, running through his phone, stressing him out. Like, where are you, right? At that point, she's trying to pull you into her world, right? Pick the woman that is providing the space and a place where she can be herself And by being herself, that's the woman that you want to be with. Got
it. And that's code what?
So that's going to be, I'm going to tell it to you. I might as well just read it to you. I feel like we here. That's code 30157. So let me just go to 57 for you. So women should be the honey, not the bee. Love them, respect them, but hold them accountable. Right. So that's kind of how.
Oh, man, you done messed up now.
Yeah. So in the first sentence is, this is a very sensitive subject.
Yeah.
It has been since the dawn of time. Right. So, it gets real interesting as far as it goes. I don't want to give too much of it away because I don't want you.
Sure. We got to sell the book.
Right. Mm-hmm. But no, it's not even about selling the book. It's just, you can pick one of these codes and you can talk about it all day. Right. And that's kind of the point.
Okay. And that's the point. That was the objective.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But I mean, there's a lot of good ones. When we're talking about women, one that you can appreciate, I'm sure. $10 dress to $100 debt to $100,000 debt, right?
For sure.
That's speaking to making sure that you're, thinking with the right head, making sure that you're evaluating the person for what it is and not getting caught up, in a situation. So that's one about women that's very, very interesting. 304 is chivalry is not dead, right? So we talk about chivalry, what chivalry is, when to be chivalrous. That's a conversation that comes up a lot because people always ask, does chivalry still exist? And I think it does exist. I think women have just gotten selective over who they want chivalry from.
Wow. Okay. Explain that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think, in this new day and age, holding the door for somebody is it's not a thing anymore. When I was growing up, that was just a part of, just having manners and stuff. And I think that when a woman is ignored or isn't receiving chivalry from a man that she's not interested in, it's not a big deal, right? But I think if it's a man that she's interested in, then it is, right? It becomes a thing. So a great example, I have a friend of mine, she was talking about how she was struggling to get this bag out of her car. And this guy was walking by and he was like, ma'am, do you need help? And she was like, no. And I said, but you told me you were struggling.
Right.
Give me the story about how hard it was. She was like, yeah, but he wasn't cute.
Oh, no.
So what does that have to do with this? She's like, well, if I was
that damn bag, man.
Right. So yeah, it becomes a whole ordeal. So we could do a whole podcast on just
wow. So ladies in the chat, is that true? Like, would you only accept or you only look for chivalry in a man that you're interested in or that you're attracted to? I would love to hear your feedback on that. Mm-hmm. But I want to stop you right there when you talked about chivalry not being dead and women ultimately still being sought after and being courted and done the right way. And that's kind of whole part of my ideology when it comes to dating as well, because this platform really, and when I talk about the Still Him movement in this platform, it is for us to be better men for our women and for our children, because I really value the family unit and I want us to be in a family unit, man and a woman pulling in the same direction with the same goals and focus. But sometimes the outside world has us pulling in different directions. And I'm seeing, Battle of the Sexes used to be cute, but now it's more become a war between the sexes. Now we can't have a great back and forth without somebody being upset or someone getting disrespectful from either side. For me, it's women will always be the prize. I was raised by a beautiful single mother who divorced and, nothing changed in my life as far as access. Of course, my father not being on the same roof, that's a whole other story. But I was taught to be chivalrous and value women and respect them and understand my role. So sometimes let me ask you this, do you think some of the chivalry and some of the potential role reversals that we're hearing is because of the economic gap is no longer as vast and wide between men and women?
Now, I come from a different school of thought on this. I think it comes from the fact that men and women no longer know how to evaluate what a good partner is, right? Because we no longer rely on character to decide whether or not this is a good person that we should be dealing with. they care about the money, they care about the looks, you care about other things, right? I did I was on another platform, and I was talking to a young lady, and she was saying, every time she goes out, the gentleman expects sex from her, at the end of the dinner, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, how do you pick him? She's just like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, do you pay attention to him at all, right? Did he open the door for you? Did he pull out your seat? Was he nice to the wait staff, right? Like, what about his character made you say, this is somebody I want to go out with, And she's pretty much like, well, I said I wanted to go to so-and-so restaurant. He said he would take me, right? So
right.
Not really something that
it was very surface level dating, what you're saying, and not digging into, because so you're saying both parties are just as responsible. So the same could be the case for the man.
No,
right?
It definitely is. It definitely is, right? I mean, they're looking at a woman and they're looking at how beautiful she is, right? But it's kind of like you said, right? If you're chasing her for months, right, you shouldn't have to chase her, right? At some point, the level of interest becomes mutual.
Yeah. Oh, right? I'm on this new I'm like who like me, bro. That's what I'm on. Like, I'm on this new shit.
I mean, I subscribe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I subscribe to a degree. I laugh because I heard somebody else say that. He was dead serious. We went outside and I'm like, hey, like, why don't you talk to her? He's like, well, she won't look at me. I'm like, well, she not.
Nah, you still
see you. He's like, well, when she's
not.
Like,
see, that's weak. That not. I won't say weak, but that's lazy. You still got to identify, right? Identify and go hunt, right?
Well, at least
then after that, if then it's mutual, then okay, we're gonna rock. But if I'm overly, nah.
Yeah, and I think another point is that we're not all the same. I mean, and that's something that we don't want to be honest about, men and women. Neither side wants to admit that. Everybody believes that they are the creme de la creme, right?
Sure.
Everybody's a 10, right? So different guys have different things about them, that make them attractive to women, and they have to really just get good with themselves to understand what that is. But it shouldn't be financial. Some women like the funny guys, right? Mm-hmm. Some women like, the serious guys. Some women like the clowns, right? Like, just kind of knowing who you are. But then also as a man, because that's more so what I put in the book, only because I'm speaking to men, right? Not because I'm one-sided with it.
Sure.
But looking at what the woman has done, has this woman ever done anything selfless? I will not deal with anyone at this stage of my life who can't give me a selfless instance in theirs.
Okay.
Right. So
what does that look like? What does that look like for Blake?
What have you ever done for someone else that wasn't a benefit to you? Have you volunteered your time? Are we talking soup kitchen, right? I mean, have you rescued a kitten from the highway, right? Like, what have you done, that was outside of you? And it sounds crazy, but we really don't get into that anymore. I think, everybody's kind of become the main character and, everything is kind of about them.
So let me ask you this, what selfless act could you see a woman? Let me paint a picture for you. Okay. Let's say we've got a super successful independent woman, right? Mm-hmm. But she wants a man, she wants a relationship, mm-hmm. and she wants things down the road. She wants the white picket fence, the dog, and the station wagon, and breakfast at Barney's, the whole thing, right? What selfless acts can she do when she's so busy doing all this super powerful boss chick type stuff?
There's no such thing. There's just no such thing, right? There's no such thing, because if she has a kid, she's going to find the time to give up 70% of her life, right, mm-hmm. to make other things happen. And that's what makes it not selfless. So when all you can say is, well, I have this, I have this, I have this, and I have to do these things, at that point, it's no longer selfless, right? For someone like that, though, is she sponsoring a gala, right? Is she giving to a cause, right? Like, is she doing a cancer walk, right? Like, what are you doing that's outside of just you?
So basically, something she's passionate about that doesn't necessarily affect her.
It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to. This is deja vu. It doesn't have to be passion, mm-hmm. but it just has to be selfless. Something that you're doing for the sake of someone else, a greater mm-hmm. good or a cause.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. Cool, man.
If you can't see beyond yourself without me, I don't see how you're going to see beyond yourself with me. That's kind of the way I look at it. And most of the older people in relationships and stuff that I know, I mean, even, volunteering their times at the church, right? You have the women that will stay and they do, the Bible study for everyone, and they do the marriage counseling, right? Like, what else are you doing that's just not about you? And that's just my personal piece. And I've had some pretty good luck in staying with that.
Right. All right. So I remember back on the show, people looked at Blake as a stern military man and controlling type. What do you say to that, even though you're making this book about men, two men, on how they deal with different scenarios in their lives, and you say you're not painting a broad brush of one type of man. This is for all men, so different type of men. What do you say to that? Because some may get it twisted that this is all about control and trying to control a narrative and things of the nature in dating and dealing with in that specific portion about women.
Right. So I think that that's inevitable for some people, right? Because the two things that make you a man by the standard of a gentleman, as far as the book goes, is character and discipline, right? And most people have varying levels of discipline, right? And a part of being successful, as you know, is having discipline and having that willingness to sacrifice, right? So a lot of people, they don't want that side of it. They just want the receiving end, right? So they see Rashid, the car god, right? They see the social media, they see the cars, they see you having a great time, right? They don't see you when you're at home, thinking about the next move and how you're going to do this and setting up the channels and all these other things, right? That's the discipline part, right? So it's not something that I really concern myself with at this stage of my life, as far as something being controlling or not, because it doesn't really, affect me. And the thing is, you have to be good as a man. You can't let someone else dictate, especially the woman in your life. You can't let her dictate what a man is, because at that point you're pretty much lost.
We're lost, both of us, because that's not for you to determine. Now you can determine what you like in a man that you value, and then if y'all are, again, I'm big on this, if y'all are pulling in the same direction, then go marry and be happy in the yellow brick road, whatever. But when it comes to the point to try to then step in and change certain elements, that's why I talk to men about owning who you are, owning your faults, owning the things that you can and can't control, and understand that you're still a good person. You're still a good dude. You're still a good father, good leader, and all the other things that we are taught and most of us strive to be, and understand that there's not a perfect world. So
I think there's another part to that, Rashid. I think that it depends on the other thing, kind of like you said, ages and stages, right? It depends on what stage of life that you're starting to date as well, right? And I think a lot of times people don't want to recognize that, especially from the women's standpoint, because as men, we kind of know what stage we're in, because we're looking forward. We know where we've come from. We know where we're going, right? And I think for some women, they need a man who's in that growth stage, right? Who hasn't really gotten there, right? I think that you get a little bit more say so in the direction when you're on the foundational level, right? But I think as a man who has already created his lane and kind of created his way and kind of created the secret formula for success and what works, I think it becomes a little difficult when you date someone who wants to come in who says, well, I don't like the way this goes and I would prefer it to go, this other way, right? So I think there's certain areas that you can agree on, and certain ways, like you said, you want your person to be happy, right? So if there are things that you can change, surface level, those things change.
Sure.
But forward motion, progression, those things, if you're dealing with someone who's already been through it, you're less likely to get that input.
Yeah, definitely, man. So one other thing on this topic, then we'll move to some other key things that you want to share about the book. So,
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So you said something there. I lose my train of thought. So it's interesting you said about the age and stage. It is a pun. That I'm actually doing some research, and I'm going to have a great couple on here in the near future. A couple that I love, that I went to college with. And my argument or challenge is, are relationships and marriages better off when we're both at the foundational phase and growing through life and trying to figure this thing out together, versus one or the other who has their lane figured out and wants to now get this person and mold them in this way that the lane should go? And most of my peer group and friends that married their high school or college sweetheart are still together.
Right.
And they went through. It never was easy. The struggle, the whole thing.
Of course.
But they grew up together.
Right.
They learned together. They made mistakes together. And most of them are thriving in their individual professions, and they're doing the thing. And of course, it's not perfect. So my challenge is that the topic will be, is dating after 35, is it doomed? What do you say to that?
So I think it depends on if you're talking about a man or a woman, right? I think that there's some differences there. I think that it depends on the type of people, right? I think that when you're 19, 20, and you're getting together, 21, 22, you don't know much about life, right? And you don't really start figuring out your direction until about 30, let's be honest, right? It's about 30. So if you have someone by your side all that time, you guys are going to figure that out together, right? I think that when you're left to kind of figure it out on your own, both men and women, right? A great example would be, let's just take someone, a 35-year-old woman who's on top of her game and a 35-year-old man who's on top of their game, right? She did really well in her career. She's where she wants to be. She has her house that she, dreamed of. You got the man who's done the same thing. He has the house that he's dreamed of. Now, how do these two people come together to create, this new idea, right? And who's going to be the person to step back? Because you can't have two people leave.
You have to. Somebody has to.
Somebody has to step back, right? And then you get into these more difficult areas. Now, if you take that same person who progressed, right, and then they find someone who is more of a supportive partner, right, where leading isn't necessarily, what's important to them, the final destination is, then they can get with someone like that. So I think as I've gotten older, the type of person that I deal with has changed. When I was younger, it was a little bit more of a smorgasbord. As I'm getting older, I can identify what works for me and what's going to work for my life.
I love that. Yep. Ages and stages. All right, brother. So get into some other key points and chapters in the book that you want to talk about and highlight.
So I think the biggest thing is the rites of passage, right? That's where the book starts out, understanding that life has rites of passage. Understanding that there are certain things that you're going to go through, and you're never going to stop having rites of passage, because with each failure comes a shedding of your skin and a new birth of yourself, right? The biggest thing about that is to understand that you have to be able to zone everything else out and stay focused on the new version of you, right? I think a lot of times that healing and that moving on, or that next level of progression, takes a little bit longer because we don't want to let go of what happened, right? We don't want to let go of what we had, right?
Yeah.
The idea becomes, I need to get back to where I was, instead of what is this new path going to look like, right? Because that new path is always easier than trying to figure out how to get back what you've already lost. So that's a very big portion of it. There's a piece in here that speaks to finances, right? I have a code that says, be dope, don't buy dope, right?
Okay.
And that goes both ways for men and women. And what does that mean, right? As a man, whether you want to admit it or not, I'm sure you will low-key agree. You can take, if we talk about attractiveness of a woman, right? You can take a woman who is physically attractive. Let's call her, let's call her an 8, right? And this is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder for what makes this 8, right?
Sure.
And let's put her in a $5,500 Chanel outfit, right? And then you take a woman who's a 8. You take a woman who's an 8, and you put her in some $6 leggings and a $6 shirt.
Okay.
Take a woman who's a 5 by your standard, and you put her in a $4,000 Chanel outfit, right? That woman in that $6 outfit is going to get it every single time, right? 90% of the time. You may have some guys, and it's the same thing for women as well, right? We've kind of gotten away from being dope, being the best version of yourself, being confident, right? Leading with confidence, knowing who you are. Those things shine. Those things give you a light. And that light is going to shine brighter than any $1,000 shirt that you wear.
Sure. And then that's what I try to talk to men and women about, especially men. But let's go and go there, because for me, I love a woman who could go to a thrift store, find some shit and put it on and make it look like $1 million.
Right.
Because quite honestly, ladies, if you're listening, we don't care how much you spend. Like, women do that to stun on other women at the end of the day.
Of course.
The bags, the shoes, all the Chanel, I don't care. We don't care. Ooh, look at her Chanel bag. Let me go talk to her.
Right.
Ooh, she got on red bottoms versus whatever, no bottom. Like, Ooh, let me go talk to her. We
Right.
don't care one bit about that.
At
And
all.
then as far as men is concerned, like it's very easy for a man to try to throw on a Balenciaga shirt
Mhm.
and a Gucci shirt and saying, yo, you're dressing, you're fly. Now, I will say this. There are two sides to the coin because men are more about bringing you into our world and you being a part of us, right?
Mhm.
So a man can see a bad woman working the drive-through at Walgreens pharmacy and be like, oh dang, she bad. What blah blah blah. I don't care about how much she makes or what she had on, blah blah blah. Now some men get play for the Balenciaga and the Gucci, but to what your point was earlier, now you have to decipher what motivates the woman that you're getting play from for these things.
Well, not just that. You as a man have to understand what you were doing, right? If you're baiting somebody with
Yeah, you're flashing. It's like this.
yeah,
Hey,
then
hey,
you
hey.
have to know that that's not going to be a wife. Like you're not
Right.
going to get a wife like that,
Right.
right?
So
you can't-
men are just as at fault for that's what I'm trying to think. I talk to guys about.
right.
Like, man, she only wants this and that. Well, brother, that's what you're showing her. And I'll raise my hand. I've been victim to that. I think men at certain ages, we all have.
Right.
Especially if you have you had to make a decent income, you're gonna show this and the third just to attract. Because a lot of shit that men do is for women's attention. But
Well,
at this different age and stage of different
yeah,
people, you start reflecting on that and knowing you don't need all those things.
right. Well, I agree 5,000%, but there's the surface level and then there's the character level, right? And that's really the purpose of the book, right? To make sure that things are being done at the character level, because the character level is what keeps them, right? I mean, being able to wear this Balenciaga shirt is great, right? But when they car break down in the middle of the night, do you know what to do and can you rescue them? Because they gonna call the dude that can. They're not gonna call the dude in a Balenciaga shirt, right? They gonna call the dude that knows how to solve this problem that they have.
Yeah, and the Balenciaga dude in the Balenciaga shirt don't even know how to change a tire.
Right. He's like, I'll send you a tow truck, right? You gonna show up with the tow truck, right? Yeah, you get the number for the tow. Matter of fact, I'll sell you the money for the tow truck, right?
Yeah.
So it's a character building thing, but no, it works both ways. But I think it's worse. I think it works both ways, but it doesn't carry the same weight both ways. And the reason I say that is because as a woman, women understand and they lead with their attractiveness or seduction. And I say or because that's where you get the makeup and the lashes and blah, 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 right? So you get a lot of stuff that will go into it that goes beyond attractiveness to draw the man. But I've never met a woman who said, oh, that man is out of my league. Whether she works at Burger King, the mall, she's an attorney, right? She's the state's attorney. The women typically want the same men and they will go after the same men. Right. But us as men, we don't do that. We kind of know, where we are, right? So you're not gonna have a 21-year-old, in his first, let's say a 20-year-old in his second year of college, trying to talk to this partner attorney at a firm. Right. No. So
he knows better, like for the most part.
Yeah.
Knows better, but you know what I mean? But it's funny you say that because I have a twist on kind of, and this is going to be another podcast topic. I'd love to have you on and maybe we do a whole round table with men and women. But to your point, all those women from A to Z, let's say that, want that man or those men.
Right.
And men are more select. That's why I feel in relationships, men are the talent, women are the prize. And I'll break that. That's a whole breakdown and a whole nother podcast. But we're the talent, they're the prize.
Yeah, we definitely gotta have a discussion on that. We got different views on it. So let me clarify, not that I'm saying that men are the prize. I just don't believe in the prize concept.
Right. I got you.
We can have that talk, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Because here's an analogy. I do men, we do a lot of sports stuff. So men know they going after a specific woman, right? And every man knows that specific woman, no matter what league you think you're in for that ever woman. Every man knows you're not the only one shooting at her. You're not the only one DMing her, calling her, doing whatever for the most part. But when every NFL team gets to training camp, whether if they finish in last place or first place or they won a Super Bowl, what is their primary talk? What do they talk about? What is their focus to start the season? To win the Super Bowl, right? And all these people are talented, 53-man roster. and it's 32 teams, all this talent trying to get one prize at the end of the day, the trophy, but they have to show their talent and they have to persevere and discipline to get there. Right. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
But no. Let's have it though. You can just drop that and run off, right?
Jump in.
I feel differently. I never think about who else the other person is dating. Like
you say what?
If I talk to someone, if I'm interested in someone and we have dialogue, it never even crosses my mind that they're talking to someone else or who else they're talking to, right? Only thing I worry about is how available they are to me, right? And I just kind of I go from there.
But at the same time, you understand that a woman can post just a beautiful picture of her in the car. She's getting DM'd. Like that's a conscious thought, not a negative to whereas you feel intimidated or there's
and I get that and I respect that. But if your woman is beautiful, when she goes to the grocery store, she got somebody in her
100%.
Right? So that's not something that registers with me personally, right?
Sure.
It is what it is. If I'm dating a woman, like I know my standard, I know my level of beauty, I know what moves me, and I've been on this earth long enough to know that it will move most men, right? So I don't really worry about that piece. To me, that's where the character of the woman comes in, right?
Sure.
Even if I'm interested in a woman, I sit back and I watch how she moves before I even talk to her. But I get what you're saying. And I think, again, that's what we said earlier, right? It's just different approaches to dating, between men. Different men have different ways of going about, different things.
Sure.
Definitely.
Got you. All right. Well, cool, man. Any other things we got about 8 minutes or so before we wrap up?
So I got the
book and
YouTube channel
or anything else. I know you got a podcast coming up and all that good stuff.
Trying to be like you when I grow up, right? So I'm gonna get
raise your standards. You're gonna be like me.
And the purpose of the podcast is we're gonna pick the code. So the people that purchased the book, on the back of the book, there's the I guess the URL for the podcast, and I'll be discussing the codes within the book. So each episode we'll pick a different code, and I'll just kind of talk through that specific code, the backdrop, and give the people that are on an opportunity to kind of chime in to get clarity and have that dialogue. So we'd love to have you on for a few of them. I'm sure I can count
100%, of
course. But yeah, I mean, other than that, bro, like I'm just life is great. I don't complain about life very much. So I'm glad that everything is going well for you as well.
Man, I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, if you're still on the chat, if you got any questions for Blake, I see we've talked about a couple things in here. But yeah, if you have anything, let's see. All right, I like that. So let's see. Portaloa 45. I was blessed to be raised in the Bay Area. I was able to date different nationalities. It gave me confidence. All right. Let me ask, are you a man or a woman in that? I'm sorry, it's not gender specific on your name. I'm just curious. And any other questions or comments you guys want to make? Thoughts on the Super Tuesday Live? Again, we'll be back next week with another dope topic or guest. But yeah, if Portaloa 45 can answer that. If not, I get it. But anybody else? We've had some activity in chat. Anybody else want to ask any questions? Man in my 50s. Okay, cool. All right. That's what's up. So I was blessed to be raised in the Bay Area and dated different nationalities. It gave him confidence. Wow. Okay. I can see that, because one thing that I've talked to the younger generation about, for me, a woman is a woman. Not saying that they're all the same, but if a woman is attracted to you, regardless if you're attracted to her or not, I feel that is a confidence type of builder for a man, just for him to be, because we take on a lot of things in the world. And I don't care if she's not my type at all, but I'm always going to be super grateful and nice and cordial because men, we can tell when women are attracted to us, but when it comes from varying women, I think that's an amazing thing, because at the end of the day, all men need some sort of confidence. Confidence is what drives us, not just for women, just in life. And the more confidence, the better. So shout out to you, my brother, if that gave you confidence going forward. But I don't care if a woman is not on my attractive level to I'm attracted to her, but she gives me, a nice smile, and I'm gonna hug and smile. Hey, how you doing? And that feels great to me. I don't care if I felt she felt like that was a dime to me, because whatever my perspective is, I love those things. But anyway, Blake, you have anything to say to that and what my man said?
No, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from, because it gives you perspective that there are different types of people, specifically women in this case, but there are different types of people.
Yeah, it's just not on. I'm not popping just on my block.
Yeah, you got to get outside your pond sometimes. You know what I mean? And see what's going on over in the lake.
Right. That's what's up, man. Well, thank you for that, man. Y'all join us again next Tuesday. Blake, closing remarks, man. We're gonna shut it down. Remind everybody your IG, the name of the book, and the podcast, and where they can buy the book, and all that good stuff.
So the book is The Man vs. the Gentleman. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it off my IG link. My IG is champ_Fenimore, CHAMP_FENIMORE. And the YouTube channel is The Gentleman's Code.
The Gentleman's Code. Dope.
It might be just Gentleman's Code.
Got you. Okay. And that's coming like any day now, right?
No, the channel is up. So we already have subscribers, right? The channel is up.
Nice.
We'll start on Thursday.
That's dope, man. All right. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for joining me, man. I appreciate that.
Always love.
Clyde Jones and everybody who joined the show, and tell a friend to tell a friend. It's going to be posted, and we're going to keep this thing going. So my man, Blake, appreciate you, my brother. As always, man, keep going, doing your thing. I'm here to help in anything you need. Hey, y'all, this has been Ages and Stages, the podcast. I'm your host, Rashid. Until next time, peace.